Welcome to the Mile High Coatings Podcast, where we elevate your spaces to a new peak in quality. Hosted by David Naniga, president of Mile High Coatings, this podcast explores how expert residential painting, concrete coatings, and epoxy flooring can transform garages, basements, patios, and commercial spaces across Colorado's Front Range. So grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and dive into the world of high-quality coatings.
Epoxy flooring isn't just shiny and durable, it's a game changer. In this episode, we dig into what makes epoxy stand out from traditional flooring and why it becomes a go-to for homeowners and businesses alike. Welcome back, everyone. This is Nick George, co-host and producer, back in the studio with David Naniga, president of Mile High Coatings. How's it going, David?
It's going well today. How are you, Nick?
Good. David, always great to be back here with Mile High Coatings. We're ready to elevate things to a whole new peak in quality. What are the benefits of epoxy flooring compared to other options?
So there are definitely a lot of options when it comes to flooring. Obviously, in basements, you've got options like LVT, tile, carpet. Maybe in some scenarios, hardwood could be an option. And then, of course, just treating the concrete directly with polished concrete is an option. And then you've got, of course, the coating side of things. And there's definitely a few different options that we always explore when it comes to basements. We have a few different applications. We can do things like what we refer to as a grind and seal. So if you think about it like a clear coat, just a clear sealer, maybe a shiny sealer over the concrete, we can do other epoxy applications that people see online. They kind of see that kind of marbly, swirly look is what people refer to it as, but that would be a metallic epoxy system. And probably our most popular application for a basement would be a dye and seal. And so, to answer your question with respect to the benefits of epoxy over some of your traditional options like carpet or obviously the LVT is certainly a really popular option in basements right now.
What does that stand for?
LVT, luxury vinyl tile. So
thank you.
Yeah, so it's kind of like those planks that mimic hardwood, all kinds of, obviously tons of different colors and everything. And there's really, with respect to luxury vinyl tile, there's a pretty wide range of price. I mean, you can get pretty cheap or you can be fairly expensive, which kind of brings me to one of the benefits of epoxy is it's relatively inexpensive, especially compared to most LVT options. It's, again, carpet. You can range in price with carpet. So I'd say it's going to be less expensive than most probably mid-grade carpets. Of course, you can get some cheap carpet that's probably going to be cheaper than a stained concrete application. So besides price and cost, probably one of the main benefits, or I should say one of the reasons why people call us and explore coatings in basements is because they've experienced a recent water issue, whether it's a water heater leaking, exploding, whatever you want to call it, or maybe they had a leak from outside or a flood or something, and they've realized, and maybe it's not the first time that's happened, so they realized, man, this is really terrible having to clean up my carpet and having to do water mitigation. So one of the real benefits that you experience with epoxy or with our dye and seal or concrete stain application is it's literally, you can just mop it up, use a wet vac and clean up the floor, and you're not dealing with replacing the flooring. So that's a huge benefit for people that might be nervous about experiencing a water issue. And then aesthetically, it's a really popular application for people that are kind of going for maybe kind of that simple aesthetic. Maybe some people might call it industrial kind of aesthetic, but it's just a really popular application these days when people are finishing their basements. And it's extremely durable. It's not going to wear down, like it's not going to get matted like carpet.
Is there any maintenance? Like, with carpet, you got to do maintenance, right?
True. Absolutely. I would say it's virtually maintenance free. Of course, it can scratch. I always tell people to treat it like you would treat it like a hardwood floor. Can a clear coat scratch? Of course it can. But a lot of times I feel like for that to happen, you have to be almost intentional to make it scratch. So from a maintenance standpoint, it's literally just, you just clean it again like you would a hardwood floor or tile even. But from a recoating, ongoing maintenance standpoint, it's pretty durable. I've got the dye and seal application in my own basement, and it's been down for 9 years, and it's great. It's basically as good as the day it was done. Looks the same over time. The clear coat as it gets cleaned. Even a microfiber has very subtle abrasion. It goes from maybe a semi-gloss to settles into a nice satin sheen. Super easy to clean, and there's virtually no maintenance. We have virtually nobody that's ever had us come back, even from 10, 12, 15 years ago and say, hey, I need another coat, another clear coat in my basement. It's once it's down, it's good to go.
So it outlasts vinyl.
Oh yeah, it's extremely durable. Foot traffic in a household isn't going to impact, it's not going to wear the coating down. That's not a significant enough amount of abrasion and foot traffic for that to happen. And with respect to outdoor applications, a patio, for instance, sometimes people explore pavers, or maybe they explore, I guess outdoor carpet's kind of rare these days, but tile, people certainly still do tile on outdoors. And obviously those options are extremely expensive relative to our outdoor polyaspartic applications that we do a lot. And so from an expense standpoint, again, the coating application is likely going to win in that scenario. Durability, it has excellent adhesion to concrete. We always diamond grind the floor to make sure we have really good adhesion. So you're very likely not going to experience coating failure in that regard. Another thing that's quite common that I see is obviously a patio can crack. And so if you have tile, certainly it's going to crack your tile. I guess another option would be stamped concrete or a stamped overlay. And I see, that stuff cracks too. And stamped concrete, stamped overlay requires a lot of maintenance and resealing of that, which we do that, but we just don't actually install stamped concrete. And so again, there are some real benefits to the coatings, on patio applications, porches, sidewalks, things like that. We do a lot of those, especially in the summertime, of course. With respect to garage floors, epoxy is certainly the most popular by far application for when people are considering coating their garage floor. And I keep saying epoxy just because that is the kind of the blanket general term, but we actually use the polyaspartic, which is what I often say is the creme de la creme of coatings. It's extremely durable. It has superior adhesion to concrete. It has superior abrasion resistance. It'll cure extremely fast so that your return to service, meaning you can use it the next day, basically, whereas epoxy can be up to 7 days to cure. And so probably the only other option that I really see on garage floors, and they're not all that common, is the tile floor. I think one of the common brand names might be Swiss Trax. It's kind of those interlocking tiles, and we have certainly pulled up those flooring types to do epoxy, and it's amazing how much dirt and how much wear is underneath of the tiles from water and moisture seeping in. And you lift up those floor tiles, you think your floor is clean or whatever, and it really can degrade the concrete quite a bit. There's been a few times where someone calls us in to coat a floor, and they have the tile floor, and they're like, "Hey, can you just rip this out and throw it away for me and do the floor?" And so we show up and we rip it out, and holy cow, the concrete's in bad shape. So anyway, yeah.
In the third episode, I'd like for you to be thinking about answering a question that I had about what aesthetic customization design options are available to homeowners that they may not expect right now. But we'll do that in the next episode. Thanks for breaking that down, David. As always, your insights are rock solid, and I'm sure your listeners are walking away with a whole new appreciation for epoxy. And we'll see everyone next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mile High Coatings podcast. Ready to give your space a fresh, durable finish? Visit milehighcoatings.com for a free price quote or call 970-314-1023. At Mile High Coatings, we're not just painting walls, we're setting a new peak in quality. Until next time, keep your standards high and your coatings higher.